welcome to another episode of System Shock Radio. As always, I'm your host Nigel, and it's been a little bit. It's been a couple weeks. Unfortunately, wasn't able to go live last week, but I'm here now, and uh, we're gonna get started. But first, on a bit more of a serious note, before we get started, it, prayers going out to the people of Beirut, Lebanon. And I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. If you haven't heard the news, there was an explosion, I believe, last week, and the people have been absolutely devastated. And a big chunk of that land was torn out about 30 people killed, thousands injured. So, prayers out to them. But we're gonna get started with the answer to last week's riddle, or week before last is riddle, and it goes like this: What is heavier, 10 pounds of cotton or 10 pounds of bricks? And read one more time: What's heavier, 10 pounds of cotton or 10 pounds of bricks? So the answer to that one, of course, is that they're both a pound. So a pound is a pound, no matter whether it's cotton or bricks. Of course, we're trained to believe that the bricks is obviously going to be heavier than the cotton. And sure, one brick is probably heavier than one. Well, it's definitely heavier, I should say, than one puffball of cotton. But a pound is a pound. But if you got the answer to that one, congratulations to you. And I find that one stumps a lot of people. But again, it's how we're conditioned to think that of course the cotton is not heavier than the brick when and it's one on one, but when the cotton's bunched up and when the brick is bunched up and they're both a pound, then they're both a pound. But nevertheless, we're gonna get started in this first topic, and this one's gonna be a bit of a doozy. This is something, I should say, that I've dealt with before, or this is something that I'm sure a lot of you have dealt with before, and that's cutting certain people out of your life. So, to put it bluntly, some people are in your life. You may have someone in your life right now, or someone who was in your life before, that brought more harm than good towards your life, if usually maliciously or otherwise. And sometimes you gotta cut those people out of your life. Now, that's easier said than done, but ultimately it'll benefit you in the long run. And sometimes it benefits them. Sometimes if you cut someone out of your life who is doing you no good, always getting you into trouble, always spreading rumors about you or others, and just bringing a whole bunch of negativity into your life, cutting them out, it's going to free up a lot of your life. If you're gonna feel better, you're going to see things in a more positive light because you're not dealing with this other person who's essentially contributing nothing of interest or value to your life. It's kind of just there taking up oxygen. And sometimes you gotta cut the people out of your life, and I've had to do it before. There's some people, some friends, and even family members that I don't really talk to anymore, that my parents, my sister, or my siblings don't really talk to anymore, because ultimately they're not going to benefit our lives, but they're going to hurt our lives instead. So it's not going to be easy, but sometimes it's going to be necessary. And when you cut someone out of your life, first of all communication is key. So, sometimes you gotta tell them, I'm cutting you out of my life because. Sometimes no explanation is needed, but other times it is. So when you cut someone out of your life, sometimes it's not forever. Sometimes you may see them a few years later, and either a lot has changed or nothing has changed. If a lot has changed, if you see that that person has become a much better person, you'll have to bring them back to the level they were before. You can kind of keep them at a distance, but know that that change has come. You could change 2 years from now, 2 days from now, 2 months from now, what have you. And a lot can change in that time. A lot can happen in 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, what have you. But some people, they don't change. Some people, and they find their way back into your life. Like, you see that nothing has changed. You're like, how are you back? Like, cut them off, and it's gonna hurt, especially when it's someone that was close to you. It's gonna hurt, but it's necessary ultimately for you. But with that being said, let's move on. If you haven't heard the news, yesterday for PlayStation users, the Avengers beta dropped. So, of course, the Marvel Avengers video game is coming out on September 4th, 3 days before my birthday. And because I pre ordered the game, I had access to the beta. And if you see that you don't have access to the beta, it means you didn't pre-order the game. So you have to pre-order the game. It's about $59.99, in which with New York State tax translates to about 65 and some change. So about the standard rate for video games. But I played the beta, and I can't lie, it's actually pretty fun. Like, if I wasn't excited before, I'm definitely excited now for this game. Each and every character played extremely well. Well, I see they got Iron Man's like flight height and everything. They got his repulsor blast. As they got Thor's hammer, his movements. Captain America's good with combat. Black Widow's got projectiles. Hulk is super strong. In my opinion, Hulk was probably my favorite to play out of all the characters I played as in the beta. Hulk was probably my favorite. I didn't get to play as a Miss Marvel yet, and I think I might actually save her until the actual game comes out. But each character was fun to play as. Each character felt like those characters, and it's awesome to see because in the past, characters like Iron Man and Hulk, who've had their own video games in the past, and even Thor, the video games weren't done that well. And to see Square Enix, which they make great games anyway, in my opinion, to see Square Enix do these characters justice for the most part are really awesome to see. And even the storyline, the snippets of the story that we got for the game, and they delved into the story a little bit. Basically, what happened is it was supposed to be a celebration for the Avengers until disaster struck, okay, and it resulted in Captain America's death, and the Avengers sort of disbanded. And so, oh, not how Miss Marvel seemingly wants to get the band back together or stuff like that, and she's teaming with Dr. Banner, and they're searching for Iron Man. And that's as far as I got so far. I don't want to get too deep into the game because I want to really save it for when it actually comes out. Oh, like even with some games, I don't like when they're not necessarily spoiled, but I don't like to see a whole lot of a game before it comes out. Oh, but I did play the beta, and I was excited to play the beta. I'm like, okay, let's see how this game operates, and good to say that it does pretty well. It even has HDR functionality for PS4 Pro users like myself. So, really cool stuff, and I cannot wait for the actual game to come out. And this free sample, this little sample size, really good stuff. But finally, our final topic is should schools reopen? So, schools in a lot of districts are set to reopen. In some districts, schools have already reopened, and they're going to reopen for the September school year. And for a lot of people, they are against this, and I'm one of them. I believe schools shouldn't reopen physically, that is. I believe that online learning, like what the kids had towards the end of the school year when the pandemic struck and everything was closed down, I think that's probably the safest route that the kids can go. Oh, because ultimately, I don't want them to get infected. Kids interact with each other a lot. When we were kids growing up in school, we interacted a lot with our friends. We didn't socially distance. Like we were out in the park just doing God knows what, playing basketball. Not me. I suck at sports. I suck at basketball. But a lot of people that they were playing basketball. They were just chilling. They were talking, trying to hit up girls. They weren't socially distancing. So that's why I feel like it's not safe for it's not really safe for anyone to be out and about and too close to each other. But in some cases, you kind of have to. For example, with a grocery store, or of course, for those you know me, I work in a grocery store, and A lot of people are still bunched up only because the place is so densely packed and is usually super busy. But kids is a bit of a different story because with the grocery store, you can be there for an hour and then leave, and then never have to come back to that store for the rest of the day. You can go to the store, you can get what you need, you can buy what you need, and you can peace out of there. And we don't have to see you for the rest of the day. We don't have to see you until like 2, 3 weeks later. But with kids, school is an everyday thing. You gotta show up Monday through Friday, every day for school. And in the store, you can socially distance. You can and try to place yourself to where you're not near other customers. School, you only have that luxury because of the classrooms and because of how densely packed some of these classrooms are. But there were some alternatives that were posed. For example, having certain kids show up on one day, having certain kids show up on another day, or another alternative that my dad suggested was have like the older kids stay home, like the high schoolers, and then have the elementary school kids go in and let the elementary school kids distance themselves in the high school classrooms, which normally are super big, have kids like maybe every other desk, like far away from each other as possible. You got the whole high school to yourself. Especially the high school that I went to is actually really big, and so those are some alternatives. But I believe that the safest route is just have them stay home in the first place. But I don't mind like the one that my dad suggested. Like I believe if you really have to, like, if you just have to have the schools reopen, if it's gonna kill you if they're not reopen and or what have you, then that is a safe way to do it. But nevertheless, thank you all so much for tuning in today, and we're going to end off with today's riddle. Remember, the next episode of Systems Radio is not going to be next week, but the next day actually. It's going